The rain fell hard against the stone steps of the Ashford estate. Serafina stood in the doorway with her hands clenched at her sides. Her dress was old and patched at the elbows. Her boots had holes that let the cold water seep through to her skin. But she did not move. She could not move. Inside the grand hall, a man waited for her. His name was Thorn Ashford. He was tall and broad-shouldered. His dark hair was wet from the rain. His jaw was sharp. His eyes were grey like storm clouds. He stood near the fireplace with his arms crossed over his chest. He did not smile. He did not frown. He simply watched her. Serafina's heart pounded in her chest. She had walked 5 miles in the rain to reach this house. Her younger sisters were back home with empty bellies. Her father lay in bed with a fever that would not break. They had no money, no food, no hope. And Thorn Ashford knew it. "Come inside," he said. His voice was low and calm. It made her skin prickle. Serafina stepped over the threshold. Water dripped from her hair onto the marble floor. She felt small in this place. The ceilings were high. The walls were covered in dark wood and paintings of people she did not know. Everything smelled like wood smoke and expensive things. Thorn gestured to a chair near the fire. "Sit." She did not want to sit. She did not want to be here at all. But her legs were tired. Her body was cold. She walked to the chair and sat down. Her hands trembled in her lap. Thorn poured 2 glasses of wine. He handed one to her. She did not take it. "You know why I asked you here," he said. Serafina looked up at him. Her green eyes were sharp despite the exhaustion in her bones. "You want to make me an offer?" "I want to make you my wife." The words hung in the air like smoke. Serafina's breath caught in her throat. She had heard the rumors. She had known this was coming. But hearing it out loud still felt like a knife to the chest. "Why?" she whispered. Thorn set the glass of wine down on the table. He leaned against the mantel and looked into the fire. "Your father owes me a great deal of money. Money he cannot repay. Your family will lose everything. Your home, your land, your name." Serafina's hands curled into fists. "And you want me to pay his debt with my life?" "I want you to marry me," Thorn said. His voice was steady. "In exchange, I will clear your father's debt. I will give your family enough money to live comfortably. Your sisters will have dowries. Your father will have medicine." "And what do you get?" Serafina asked. Her voice was sharp now, angry. Thorn turned to look at her. His grey eyes were unreadable. "A wife. You could marry anyone," Serafina said. "You are rich. You are powerful. You could have any woman in the county." "I want you." The words were simple, blunt. They made Serafina's stomach twist. "Why?" she asked again. Thorn did not answer. He just looked at her. His gaze moved over her face, her wet hair, her worn dress, her trembling hands. He looked at her like she was something he had been searching for, something he had finally found. Serafina stood up. Her legs felt weak, but she forced herself to stand tall. "And if I refuse?" Thorn's expression did not change. "Then your father will go to debtor's prison. Your home will be sold. Your sisters will have no future. You will have nothing." Serafina felt tears prick at her eyes, but she did not let them fall. She would not cry in front of this man. She would not give him that. "So it is not really a choice at all," she said quietly. Thorn stepped closer to her. He was so tall that she had to tilt her head back to look at him. "It is a choice," he said. "Marry me or watch your family starve. The decision is yours." Serafina closed her eyes. She thought of her sisters. Little Anna with her bright laugh. Sophie with her love of books. She thought of her father, weak and pale in his bed. She thought of the life she had dreamed of, the life she would never have now. When she opened her eyes, Thorn was still watching her. "I will marry you," she said. Her voice was hollow, empty. Thorn nodded once. Good. He did not smile. He did not reach for her. He simply turned and walked to his desk. He pulled out a piece of paper and a pen. He wrote something down and then handed it to her. The wedding will be in 1 week, he said. You will move into this house the day after. Your family will receive the first payment tomorrow. Serafina took the paper. Her hands were still shaking. She did not read it. She did not want to see the words that sealed her fate. You may go, Thorn said. Serafina looked at him one more time. She wanted to scream. She wanted to throw the paper in his face and run. But she did not. She turned and walked to the door. As she stepped out into the rain, she heard his voice behind her. Serafina. She stopped but did not turn around. I will not hurt you, Thorn said quietly. Serafina did not respond. She walked down the steps and into the storm. The rain washed over her face. She did not know if the wetness on her cheeks was rain or tears, but she did know one thing. She would never forgive him. The wedding took place on a grey morning. The church was small and cold. There were no guests, no flowers, no music. Just a priest and 2 witnesses that Thorn had brought with him. Serafina wore a white dress that Thorn had sent to her house the day before. It was beautiful. The fabric was soft and expensive. It fit her perfectly. But it felt like a costume, like she was playing a part in someone else's story. Thorn stood at the altar in a black suit. His face was calm. His hands were steady. He looked like a man making a business deal, not a man getting married. Serafina walked down the aisle alone. Her father was too sick to come. Her sisters had cried when she left the house. She had kissed their foreheads and promised them everything would be all right. She did not know if that was true. When she reached the altar, Thorn held out his hand. Serafina looked at it for a long moment. Then she placed her hand in his. His skin was warm. His grip was firm but not tight. He did not squeeze her hand. He did not smile. He just held it. The priest began to speak. Serafina did not hear the words. She stared at the floor. She focused on breathing, in and out, in and out. Do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? The priest asked. I do, Thorn said. Do you take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? The priest asked. Serafina's throat felt tight. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Thorn's hand tightened slightly on hers. Not painful, just present. I do, Serafina whispered. The priest smiled. You may kiss the bride. Thorn turned to face her. Serafina's heart raced. She did not want him to kiss her. She did not want him to touch her. But she could not move. Thorn leaned down. His face was so close to hers that she could see the flecks of silver in his grey eyes. He paused for just a moment. Then he pressed his lips to her forehead. It was quick, gentle, almost tender. Then he stepped back. The priest declared them husband and wife. Serafina felt nothing. The Ashford estate became her prison. Thorn gave her a bedroom on the 2nd floor. It was large and beautiful. The bed had silk sheets. The walls were painted a soft cream colour. There was a window that looked out over the gardens. But Serafina did not care about any of it. She spent the first week in silence. She ate her meals alone in her room. She did not explore the house. She did not speak to the servants. She did not see Thorn. He had his own room at the other end of the hall. He left early in the morning and returned late at night. Sometimes she heard his footsteps in the hallway, but he never knocked on her door. Serafina did not know if she was relieved or insulted. On the 8th day, there was a knock. Serafina was sitting by the window with a book in her lap. She had not read a single page. She had just been staring out at the grey sky. Come in, she said quietly. The door opened. Thorn stepped inside. He was dressed in riding clothes. His dark hair was messy. There was mud on his boots. He looked tired. I am going into town, he said. Would you like to come? Serafina blinked. She had not expected him to ask. She had not expected him to speak to her at all. Why? She asked. Thorn leaned against the doorframe. Because you have not left this room in a week. I thought you might want fresh air. Serafina looked back out the window. I am fine here. You are not fine, Thorn said. His voice was blunt. You are miserable. Serafina's jaw tightened. And whose fault is that? Thorn did not respond. He just looked at her. Serafina turned to face him. You bought me. You forced me into this marriage. You took away my choice, and now you want me to pretend that everything is fine? I do not want you to pretend anything, Thorn said. I just want you to leave this room. Why do you care? Serafina asked. Her voice was sharp. You got what you wanted. I am your wife. I am here. What more do you need from me? Thorn's expression flickered. For just a moment, Serafina saw something in his eyes. Something that looked almost like pain. But then it was gone. I will be in the stables if you change your mind, he said. He turned and walked out. The door closed softly behind him. Serafina sat in silence. Her heart was pounding. Her hands were shaking. She hated him. She hated this house. She hated this life. But she also hated sitting in this room. She stood up. She walked to the wardrobe and pulled out a cloak. She wrapped it around her shoulders and walked out into the hallway. The house was quiet. Her footsteps echoed on the marble floors. She walked down the grand staircase and out through the front door. The air was cold and crisp. The sky was still grey, but the rain had stopped. Serafina took a deep breath and felt something loosen in her chest. She walked toward the stables. Thorn was standing next to a black horse. He was adjusting the saddle. When he heard her footsteps, he looked up. Serafina stopped a few feet away. I changed my mind. Thorn nodded. He did not smile, but his eyes softened just a little. Good, he said. The ride into town was quiet. Thorn rode his black horse. Serafina rode a smaller brown mare. They moved side by side down the dirt road. The trees were bare. The fields were empty. Everything looked grey and lifeless. Serafina had not been to town in months. She had been too busy taking care of her father and sisters, too busy trying to keep them all alive. Now she had servants to do that. Now she had money. Now she had everything she had needed, except her freedom. Your father is doing better, Thorn said suddenly. Serafina looked at him. How do you know? I sent a doctor to check on him yesterday, Thorn said. The fever has broken. He is eating again. Serafina's chest tightened. She had wanted to visit her family, but Thorn had not said she could, and she had not asked. Thank you, she said quietly. Thorn glanced at her. You do not need to thank me. It was part of our agreement. Still, Serafina said, I am grateful. Thorn did not respond. He just looked forward again. They rode into town. The streets were busy. People moved in and out of shops. Children ran through the square. A woman sold bread from a cart. Serafina had always loved this place. It was small and simple, but it was home. Now it felt different. People stared at her as she rode past. They whispered to each other. She knew what they were saying. She had married Thorn Ashford, the cold, ruthless man who owned half the county, the man who showed no mercy to anyone who crossed him. They thought she was a fool, or a gold digger, or both. Serafina kept her chin high. She did not look at them. She did not care what they thought. Thorn stopped his horse in front of a small shop. I need to pick up something here. You can look around if you like. Serafina nodded. She climbed down from her horse and tied it to a post. Thorn disappeared into the shop. Serafina walked down the street. She passed a bakery, a bookshop, a dress shop. She stopped in front of the bookshop and looked in the window. There were so many books, more than she had ever seen in one place. She had always wanted to come here, but her family had never had the money. Now she did. She pushed open the door and stepped inside. The shop was warm and smelled like paper and ink. An old man sat behind the counter. He looked up and smiled. "Good morning, miss," he said. Serafina smiled back. "Good morning." She wandered through the aisles. She ran her fingers over the spines of the books. Poetry, novels, history, everything she had ever wanted to read. She picked up a book of poems and opened it. The words were beautiful. They made her heart ache. "Find something you like?" a voice asked. Serafina turned. Thorn stood behind her. He had a small package under his arm. "Yes," she said. She held up the book. "This one." Thorn took it from her. He looked at the cover. Then he walked to the counter and paid for it. Serafina followed him. "You did not have to do that." Thorn handed her the book. "You are my wife. You do not need to ask permission to buy things." Serafina took the book. Her fingers brushed against his. She pulled back quickly. "Thank you," she said. Thorn nodded. "Are you ready to go back?" Serafina looked around the shop one more time. Then she nodded. They rode back to the estate in silence. But it was a different kind of silence now. It was not angry. It was not tense. It was just quiet. When they reached the house, Thorn helped her down from her horse. His hands were strong and steady. He did not hold on longer than necessary. "I have work to do," he said, "but I will see you at dinner." Serafina blinked. "Dinner?" "Yes," Thorn said. "We will eat together tonight." Before she could respond, he turned and walked toward the house. Serafina stood there with the book in her hands. She did not know what to think. She did not know what to feel. But for the first time in a week, she felt something other than anger. She felt curious. Dinner was strange. Serafina sat at one end of the long table. Thorn sat at the other. The distance between them felt enormous. The room was lit by candles. The food was rich and warm. But neither of them spoke. Serafina cut her meat into small pieces. She chewed slowly. She looked at her plate. She looked at the walls. She looked anywhere but at Thorn. "How is the book?" Thorn asked suddenly. Serafina looked up. "What?" "The book I bought you," Thorn said. "Have you started reading it?" "Yes," Serafina said. "It is beautiful." Thorn nodded. "I am glad." Silence fell again. Serafina set down her fork. "Why did you marry me?" Thorn looked at her. His grey eyes were sharp. "I told you. Your father owed me money." "That is not an answer," Serafina said. "You could have taken his land, his house. You could have ruined him without ever speaking to me. But you did not. You came to me. You asked me to marry you. Why?" Thorn leaned back in his chair. He looked at her for a long time. Then he said, "Because I wanted to." "That is not an answer either," Serafina said. Thorn's jaw tightened. "It is the only answer I have." Serafina stood up. Her chair scraped against the floor. "You are a liar." Thorn stood as well. His face was hard. "I have never lied to you." "You lied when you said this was a choice," Serafina said. Her voice was shaking now. "You lied when you said you would not hurt me. You have hurt me. Every day since I walked into this house, you have hurt me." Thorn's expression flickered. "I gave you everything you needed. Your family is safe. They are fed. They are cared for. What more do you want?" "I want my life back," Serafina shouted. "I want to wake up in my own bed. I want to eat breakfast with my sisters. I want to walk through the fields without feeling like a prisoner. I want to be free." Her voice broke on the last word. Tears streamed down her face. She tried to wipe them away, but they kept coming. Thorn did not move. He just stood there and watched her cry. "I did not want to hurt you," he said quietly. "But you did," Serafina whispered, "and you will never understand why." She turned and walked out of the room. Her footsteps echoed in the hallway. She ran up the stairs and into her bedroom. She slammed the door behind her and collapsed onto the bed. She cried until there were no more tears left. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Serafina learned to live in the Ashford estate. She explored the gardens. She read in the library. She took long walks in the mornings. She and Thorn ate dinner together every night. They spoke about small things: the weather, the news, the books she was reading. But they never spoke about anything real. Thorn was always polite, always careful. He never raised his voice. He never touched her. He gave her everything she asked for, but he never gave her himself. Serafina did not know what to make of him. Sometimes she caught him watching her. His gray eyes would follow her across a room, but when she looked back, he would look away. He was a mystery, a puzzle she could not solve. And despite everything, she found herself wanting to understand him. One evening, Serafina was walking through the halls when she heard voices. She stopped outside the study. The door was slightly open. "You cannot keep living like this," a man's voice said. Serafina peeked through the crack. Thorn was standing by the fire. Another man sat in a chair. He was older. His hair was gray. His face was kind. "I do not know what you mean," Thorn said. "You married her," the man said. "But you will not let her in. You keep her at a distance. You treat her like a guest in your own home." "It is better this way," Thorn said. "Better for who?" the man asked. "You are miserable. She is miserable. What is the point?" Thorn turned to face him. His face was hard. "The point is that she is safe. Her family is safe. That is all that matters." "That is not all that matters," the man said. "Thorn, you have to tell her the truth." "No," Thorn said sharply. "She can never know." "She deserves to know," the man insisted. "She deserves to hate me," Thorn said. His voice was cold, final. "And that is exactly what she does." Serafina stepped back from the door. Her heart was pounding. Her mind was racing. What truth? What was Thorn hiding? She turned and walked back to her room. She sat on the edge of her bed and stared at the wall. Thorn was keeping a secret that had something to do with her. A secret that the other man thought she deserved to know. Serafina made a decision. She was going to find out what it was. The next morning, Serafina went to the study. Thorn was not there. She closed the door behind her and began to search. The desk was covered in papers. Business ledgers, letters, contracts. She sifted through them carefully. She did not know what she was looking for, but she hoped she would know it when she found it. She opened the drawers. More papers, more ledgers. Then she found a locked box. It was small and made of dark wood. It had a brass lock on the front. Serafina picked it up and shook it. Something rattled inside. She looked around the room. Where would Thorn keep a key? She searched the desk again, the shelves, the mantel. Nothing. Then she remembered. Thorn always carried a ring of keys on his belt. Serafina bit her lip. She could not take the keys without him noticing. But maybe she did not need to. She picked up a letter opener from the desk. It was thin and sharp. She slid it into the lock and twisted. It took several tries. Her hands were shaking. Sweat dripped down her back. Then she heard a click. The box opened. Inside was a stack of letters. They were old and yellowed. The edges were frayed. Serafina picked up the top one and unfolded it. The handwriting was messy. The ink was faded, but she could still read the words. Thorn, I do not know how much longer I can keep this secret. The guilt is eating me alive. You saved my life. You saved my family. But the cost was too high. I should never have agreed to this. I should have told her the truth from the beginning. But I was desperate, and you were the only one who could help. Please, let me tell her. Let me make this right. Edmund. Serafina's breath caught. Edmund. That was her father's name. Her hands trembled as she picked up the next letter. Thorn, I received your payment. My family is safe now, but I cannot stop thinking about what I have done. You asked me to lie. You asked me to let her believe that I owed you money, that I had no choice, that this was my fault. But it was never my fault. It was yours. You orchestrated this entire thing. You paid off my real debts. You created new ones. You made it look like I was ruined. All so she would have no choice but to marry you. I do not understand why, but I know one thing. If she ever finds out, she will never forgive you, and neither will I. Edmund. Serafina dropped the letter. Her heart was racing. Her vision was blurred. Thorn had lied. Her father had never owed him money. Thorn had made it all up. He had manipulated her. He had forced her into this marriage. But why? She picked up another letter. This one was in Thorn's handwriting. Edmund, you do not need to understand my reasons. You just need to keep your promise. Your daughter will never know the truth. She will believe that you were in debt. She will believe that I saved your family. She will hate me, but she will be safe. That is all that matters. T. Serafina's hands shook so hard that she almost dropped the letter. Tears streamed down her face. He had lied. He had manipulated her. He had taken away her choice, and he had done it all to protect her. But from what? The door opened behind her. Serafina spun around. Thorn stood in the doorway. His face was pale. His eyes were wide. Serafina, he said. His voice was hoarse. Serafina held up the letters. What is this? Thorn did not move. I can explain. Explain? Serafina's voice was shrill. You lied to me. You made me think my father was ruined. You made me think I had no choice. You forced me into this marriage. I did not force you, Thorn said. I gave you a choice. A false choice, Serafina shouted. You manipulated me. You manipulated my father. You manipulated everyone. Thorn stepped into the room. His face was hard. I did what I had to do. Why? Serafina demanded. Why would you do this? Why would you lie? Why would you ruin my life? To save it, Thorn shouted back. Serafina froze. Thorn's chest was heaving. His hands were clenched into fists. His grey eyes were filled with something she had never seen before. Fear. You were in danger, Thorn said quietly. You and your entire family. Someone wanted you dead. Serafina's breath caught. What? Thorn walked to the window. He looked out at the gardens. Your father made an enemy, a dangerous man, a man who does not forgive debts. Who? Serafina whispered. Lord Vance, Thorn said. He is a powerful man, ruthless. He does not care who he hurts. Your father borrowed money from him years ago, money he could not repay. Serafina shook her head. My father never mentioned Lord Vance. Because he was terrified, Thorn said. Vance threatened him, threatened your family. He said he would kill you all if the debt was not repaid. Serafina felt dizzy. She sat down in the chair. So you paid it? Yes, Thorn said. I paid Vance. I cleared your father's debt. But Vance wanted more. He wanted your father to suffer. He wanted to take everything from him. So you made it look like my father owed you money instead, Serafina said slowly. Thorn nodded. I made it look like your father was ruined, like he had nothing left, like I was the one who controlled his fate. Why? Serafina asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. Thorn turned to face her. His eyes were raw, vulnerable. Because Vance would not go after you if you were married to me. He would not dare. I am more powerful than he is. I have more money, more influence, more men. So you married me to protect me, Serafina said. Yes, Thorn said. But you let me believe you were the villain, Serafina said. You let me hate you. Thorn's jaw tightened. It was easier that way. Easier for who? Serafina demanded. She stood up. Her legs felt weak, but she forced herself to stand. You could have told me the truth. You could have explained everything. But you did not. You let me suffer. You let me think I had no choice. You let me think you were a monster. I am a monster, Thorn said quietly. Serafina stared at him. What? I am a monster, Thorn repeated. His voice was cold, empty. I have done terrible things. I have hurt people. I have ruined lives. I am not a good man, Serafina. I never have been. Then why did you save me? Serafina whispered. Thorn looked at her. His gray eyes were filled with something she could not name. Because I love you, he said. The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Serafina's heart stopped. Her breath caught. She stared at him. What? She whispered. Thorn stepped closer to her. I have loved you since the first time I saw you. You were in the market. You were buying bread for your sisters. You were laughing. You looked so happy, so full of light. Serafina's eyes filled with tears. I watched you for months, Thorn continued. I told myself it was foolish. I told myself you would never want someone like me. But I could not stop. So you forced me to marry you, Serafina said. Her voice was shaking. I saved you, Thorn said. And yes, I made you marry me. Because I am selfish. Because I wanted you close. Because I wanted to keep you safe. You should have told me, Serafina said. Tears streamed down her face. You should have told me everything. I could not, Thorn said. If Vance knew I cared about you, he would have used it against me. He would have hurt you to hurt me. The only way to keep you safe was to make it look like our marriage was a business arrangement. Nothing more. Serafina wiped her eyes. Her mind was spinning. She did not know what to think, what to feel. Thorn had lied, but he had lied to protect her. He had manipulated her, but he had done it out of love. He had taken away her choice, but he had saved her life. I do not know if I can forgive you, Serafina said quietly. Thorn nodded. I do not expect you to. He turned and walked toward the door. Thorn, Serafina said. He stopped but did not turn around. Thank you, she said, for saving me. Thorn did not respond. He just walked out of the room and closed the door behind him. Serafina stood there in the silence. She looked down at the letters in her hands. Her entire world had just shifted, and she did not know what to do next. The days that followed were strange. Serafina could not stop thinking about what Thorn had said. She replayed his words over and over in her mind. I love you. She did not know how to feel about it. She was angry, she was confused, she was hurt. But she was also something else. Curious. She began to watch Thorn more closely. She noticed things she had not seen before. The way he always made sure her favorite tea was stocked in the kitchen. The way he left books on her bedside table that he thought she would like. The way he stood by the window in the evenings and stared out at the gardens, like he was looking for something. Or someone. She realized he had been watching her, protecting her, even before they were married. And she realized something else. She did not hate him anymore. One evening, Serafina knocked on the door of Thorn's study. "Come in," he said. She opened the door and stepped inside. Thorn was sitting at his desk. He looked up when he saw her. His eyes widened slightly. "Serafina," he said, "is something wrong?" "No," she said. "I just wanted to talk." Thorn set down his pen. "All right." Serafina walked to the chair across from his desk and sat down. She folded her hands in her lap. "I have been thinking," she said, "about what you told me, about Lord Vance, about why you married me." Thorn's expression did not change. "And?" "And I believe you," Serafina said. Thorn blinked. "You do?" "Yes," Serafina said. "I do not agree with what you did. I do not think you should have lied to me. But I understand why you did it." Thorn leaned back in his chair. He looked at her like he did not quite believe what he was hearing. "I also want to know more," Serafina said. "About Lord Vance, about the danger, about everything." Thorn was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. "All right," he said. "I will tell you everything." And he did. He told her about Lord Vance, about the debts, about the threats. He told her about the men Vance had sent to watch her family, about the plans Vance had made to hurt them. He told her how he had paid off the debts, how he had sent his own men to protect her family, how he had manipulated the entire situation to make it look like he was the villain. "I could not let him hurt you," Thorn said quietly. "I would have done anything to keep you safe." Serafina listened to every word. Her heart ached. Her mind raced. "Is he still a threat?" she asked. Thorn hesitated. "I do not know. He has been quiet for months, but men like Vance do not forget." Serafina nodded slowly. "So I am still in danger?" "Not as long as you are with me," Thorn said. His voice was firm. "I will not let him touch you." Serafina looked at him, really looked at him. She saw the lines around his eyes, the tension in his jaw, the way his hands gripped the edge of the desk. He was carrying so much, and he had been carrying it alone. "You do not have to protect me by yourself," Serafina said softly. Thorn looked up at her. "What do you mean?" "I mean that I am your wife," Serafina said. "And if we are going to face this together, then we need to trust each other." Thorn's eyes searched her face. "Do you trust me?" Serafina thought about it. She thought about the lies, the manipulation, the pain. But she also thought about the protection, the sacrifice, the love. "I am starting to," she said. Thorn's expression softened just a little. "That is more than I deserve." Serafina stood up. She walked around the desk and stood in front of him. Thorn looked up at her. "You are not a monster," she said quietly. "You are just a man who made a mistake." Thorn's jaw tightened. "I made many mistakes." "Then make up for them," Serafina said. "Start by trusting me too." Thorn stared at her. Then, slowly, he reached out and took her hand. His skin was warm. His grip was gentle. "I will try," he said. Serafina smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. "That is all I ask," she said. Weeks passed. Serafina and Thorn began to talk more. They shared meals. They walked through the gardens together. They sat by the fire in the evenings and read. It was not perfect. There were still silences, still moments of tension. But it was better. Serafina learned more about Thorn. She learned that he had grown up poor, that he had fought for everything he had, that he had built his fortune from nothing. She learned that he was not cruel. He was just careful. He had been hurt before, betrayed. He had learned to trust no one. Until her. "Why me?" Serafina asked one evening. They were sitting by the fire. She had a book in her lap. Thorn was staring into the flames. "What do you mean?" he asked. "Why did you fall in love with me?" Serafina asked. "You said you saw me in the market, but there are hundreds of women in this county. Why me?" Thorn was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Because you were kind." Serafina blinked. "Kind?" "Yes," Thorn said. He looked at her. His gray eyes were soft. "I have met many people in my life. Most of them want something from me. Money, power, influence. But you did not want anything. You were just trying to take care of your family. You were just trying to survive." He paused. "And you were kind to everyone, even when you had nothing. I saw you give your last coin to a beggar. I saw you help an old woman carry her bags. I saw you smile at strangers." Serafina's chest tightened. "I had never seen anyone like you," Thorn continued. "You were light in a dark world, and I wanted to be near that light." Serafina felt tears prick at her eyes. "Thorn, I know I do not deserve you," Thorn said. "I know I hurt you. I know I took away your choice, but I would do it all again if it meant keeping you safe." Serafina set down her book. She stood up and walked to where Thorn was sitting. She knelt down in front of him. Thorn looked at her in surprise. "You did hurt me," Serafina said, "but you also saved me. You also protected my family. You also gave me a life I never could have had." She reached up and touched his face. Thorn's breath caught. "I am not saying I forgive you completely," Serafina said, "but I am saying I want to try. I want to build something real with you." Thorn's eyes were wide, vulnerable. "You do?" "Yes," Serafina said. "I do." Thorn reached up and covered her hand with his. His touch was gentle, warm. "I do not know how to do this," he admitted. "I do not know how to be a husband. I do not know how to love someone the right way." "Neither do I," Serafina said. "But we can learn together." Thorn leaned forward. His forehead rested against hers. "I do not deserve you," he whispered. "Maybe not," Serafina said softly. "But you have me anyway." Thorn let out a shaky breath. Then he kissed her. It was not like the kiss at the wedding. It was not quick or polite or distant. It was real. It was deep. It was full of everything they had not said to each other. When they pulled apart, Serafina was breathless. Thorn's eyes were dark, intense. "I love you," he said again. "I will always love you." Serafina smiled. "I know." But the peace did not last. 2 months later, a letter arrived. Thorn was in his study when a messenger brought it. Serafina was in the library. She heard Thorn shout. She ran to the study. Thorn was standing by his desk. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. "What is wrong?" Serafina asked. Thorn looked at her. His eyes were filled with rage. "Vance," he said. "He knows." Serafina's blood ran cold. "Knows what?" "He knows I love you," Thorn said. He held up the letter. "He sent this. He said he is coming for you. He said he will take everything from me, starting with you." Serafina's legs felt weak. She grabbed the edge of the desk for support. "When?" she whispered. "Soon," Thorn said. His voice was hard. He did not say when, but he is coming. Serafina looked at Thorn. She saw the fear in his eyes, the guilt. "This is not your fault," she said. "It is," Thorn said. I should have killed him when I had the chance. I should have ended this before it began. You cannot kill everyone who threatens you, Serafina said. I can try, Thorn said darkly. Serafina walked to him. She took his face in her hands. Listen to me. We will face this together. You and me. We will not let him win. Thorn stared at her. He is dangerous, Serafina. He will not stop until he destroys me. Then we will destroy him first, Serafina said. Thorn blinked. What? You heard me, Serafina said. Her voice was steady, strong. We will not run. We will not hide. We will face him, and we will win. Thorn's expression shifted. He looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. You are serious, he said. Yes, Serafina said. I am. Thorn let out a breath. Then he pulled her into his arms and held her tight. I do not deserve you, he whispered. You keep saying that, Serafina said. But I am here anyway. Thorn held her for a long time. Neither of them spoke. They just stood there in the quiet. But Serafina knew the quiet would not last. The storm was coming. Lord Vance arrived 3 days later. Serafina was in the garden when she heard the horses. She looked up and saw a line of men riding toward the estate. They were dressed in black. Their faces were hard. At the front of the group was a man with silver hair and cold blue eyes. Lord Vance. Serafina's heart raced. She turned and ran toward the house. Thorn was already at the door. He had a sword at his side. His face was grim. Stay inside, he said. No, Serafina said. I am staying with you. Thorn looked at her. He opened his mouth to argue, but then he closed it. Fine, he said, but stay behind me. Serafina nodded. They walked out to the front of the estate. Thorn's men were already assembled. They stood in a line. Their hands were on their weapons. Lord Vance dismounted his horse. He smiled. It was a cold, cruel smile. Thorn Ashford, he said. His voice was smooth, mocking. It has been a long time. Not long enough, Thorn said. Vance laughed. Still as charming as ever, I see. His eyes moved to Serafina. And this must be your lovely wife. Serafina lifted her chin. She did not look away. Vance's smile widened. She is even more beautiful than I heard. No wonder you went to such lengths to keep her. Say what you came to say and leave, Thorn said. His voice was cold. Vance's smile faded. Very well. I came to collect what is owed to me. You have been paid, Thorn said. I cleared Edmund's debt. You have no claim here. But I do, Vance said. You see, when you paid off Edmund's debt, you took away my leverage. You made me look weak, and I cannot allow that. So this is about pride, Thorn said. This is about power, Vance said. His voice was sharp. You think you can protect her, but you cannot. I will take her from you. I will make you watch, and then I will destroy everything you have built. Thorn stepped forward. His hand moved to his sword. You will not touch her. Vance laughed. And what will you do? Kill me? You do not have the courage. Try me, Thorn said. Vance's men moved forward. Thorn's men did the same. The air was thick with tension. But then Serafina stepped forward. Wait, she said. Everyone turned to look at her. Thorn grabbed her arm. Serafina, no! But Serafina pulled away. She walked toward Vance. Her heart was pounding, but her steps were steady. You want revenge, she said. You want to hurt Thorn because he made you look weak. Vance's eyes narrowed. What is your point? My point is that killing me will not give you what you want, Serafina said. It will just make you a murderer, and Thorn will spend the rest of his life hunting you down. Vance tilted his head. Perhaps, but I will enjoy watching him suffer. Will you? Serafina asked. Or will you just be running for the rest of your life? Vance's smile faded. You are a powerful man, Serafina continued. You have money, influence, men. But you are also afraid. Afraid that people will see you as weak. Afraid that you will lose everything. I am not afraid, Vance said. But his voice was less certain now. Then prove it, Serafina said. Walk away. Let this go. Show everyone that you are strong enough to forgive a debt. Vance stared at her. His blue eyes were cold, calculating. And if I do not? He asked. Then you will have to go through me, Serafina said. And Thorn, and every man who stands with us, and you will lose. Vance's jaw tightened. He looked at Thorn, then back at Serafina. You are bold, he said. I will give you that. I am desperate, Serafina said, and desperate people are dangerous. Vance laughed. It was a short, sharp sound. Then he turned to his men. We are leaving, he said. His men looked confused, but they did not argue. They mounted their horses. Vance climbed onto his own horse. He looked down at Serafina. You are lucky, he said. Thorn chose well. Then he turned his horse and rode away. His men followed. Serafina stood there and watched them go. Her legs felt like water. Her heart was racing. Thorn walked up behind her. He put his hands on her shoulders. Are you all right? Serafina nodded. Yes. Thorn turned her around to face him. His gray eyes were wide, filled with something she could not name. That was the bravest thing I have ever seen, he said. Serafina let out a shaky laugh. I thought I was going to faint. Thorn pulled her into his arms. He held her tight. You saved us, he whispered. You saved everything. Serafina closed her eyes. She let herself melt into his embrace. We saved each other, she said softly. Life at the Ashford estate changed after that. Thorn was different. He smiled more. He laughed. He touched her without hesitation. Serafina was different too. She felt lighter, freer. She felt like she could finally breathe. They spent their days together. They rode through the fields. They read by the fire. They talked about everything and nothing. And they fell in love. Not the forced, painful love of their wedding day, but a real, deep, honest love. One evening, Serafina was sitting in the garden. The sun was setting. The sky was painted in shades of pink and orange. Thorn walked up behind her. He sat down beside her. What are you thinking about? He asked. Serafina smiled. I am thinking about how strange life is. Strange how? Thorn asked. A year ago I hated you, Serafina said. I thought you were a monster. I thought you had ruined my life. Thorn's expression flickered. And now? Serafina turned to look at him. Now I think you saved it. Thorn's eyes softened. I did not save you, Serafina. You saved yourself. Serafina shook her head. We saved each other. Thorn reached out and took her hand. He lifted it to his lips and kissed her knuckles. I love you, he said. More than I ever thought I could love anyone. Serafina's heart swelled. I love you too. Thorn pulled her into his lap. She laughed. He buried his face in her hair. I will spend the rest of my life making up for what I did, he said quietly. You do not have to, Serafina said. You already have. Thorn pulled back and looked at her. How? By loving me, Serafina said simply. By choosing me. By fighting for me. Thorn's eyes were glassy. He looked at her like she was the most precious thing in the world. I will always fight for you, he said. Always. Serafina kissed him. It was soft and sweet and full of promise. When they pulled apart, the sun had set. The stars were beginning to appear. Come, Thorn said. He stood up and pulled her to her feet. "I have something to show you." "What is it?" Serafina asked. Thorn smiled. "You will see." He led her through the garden. They walked past the roses, past the fountain, to a small clearing at the edge of the property. In the middle of the clearing was a tree, a young tree with bright green leaves. "I planted it this morning," Thorn said. "For us." Serafina looked at him. "For us?" "Yes," Thorn said. "I wanted something that would grow with us, something that would remind us of where we started and where we are going." Serafina felt tears prick at her eyes. "Thorn." "I know I cannot change the past," Thorn said, "but I can give you the future. A future where you are happy, where you are loved, where you are free." Serafina threw her arms around his neck. She kissed him hard. "I already have that," she whispered. "I have you." Thorn held her tight. He buried his face in her hair. "You have me," he agreed. "Always." 10 years passed. The Ashford estate was full of life now. 3 children ran through the halls, 2 boys and a girl. They had Thorn's dark hair and Serafina's green eyes. Serafina stood in the garden and watched them play. She smiled. Thorn walked up behind her. He wrapped his arms around her waist and rested his chin on her shoulder. "They are wild," he said. "They are perfect," Serafina said. Thorn laughed. "That too." Serafina turned in his arms. She looked up at him. His gray eyes were warm, happy. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Regret what?" Thorn asked. "All of it," Serafina said. "The lies, the manipulation, the way we started." Thorn was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I regret hurting you, but I do not regret marrying you. I do not regret fighting for you. I do not regret loving you." Serafina smiled. "Good, because I do not regret it either." Thorn kissed her. It was soft and familiar. The kiss of 2 people who had been through hell and come out the other side. "I love you," he said. "I love you too," Serafina said. Their children ran up to them. The oldest boy tugged on Thorn's sleeve. "Papa, come play with us," he said. Thorn laughed. All right, all right." He let go of Serafina and chased after the children. They shrieked with laughter. Serafina stood there and watched. Her heart was full. She thought back to that rainy day 10 years ago, when she had stood on the steps of this house with no hope, no future. She thought about how much had changed, how much she had changed. Thorn had forced her to marry him, but in doing so he had given her everything. A home, a family, a love that she never knew was possible. She walked over to the tree they had planted all those years ago. It was tall now, strong. Its branches reached toward the sky, just like them. Serafina smiled. She had forgiven him. She had chosen him. She had loved him. And she would do it all over again.